Oh my god, I'm pretty sure this application like 500. I'm so sick of filling out applications. I don't know how I'm gonna pay all these bills. No way I can afford that one. Good joke. This one's like $10, so maybe I can get that one. Oh man. And my student loans. I forgot all about my student loans. Back to the applications. I think I'll apply to Walmart. Walmart doesn't hire me. Nobody will.
Hey dude, what's up?
Oh my god, I'm trying to find a way to pay for all these bills. Do you want to pay for some of these bills? I can't afford anything.
Why don't you get a job?
I've applied to 10,000 places online. Nobody wants to hire me. I don't know what to do.
Sorry, why don't we just take a break and watch some TV?
I love TV.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to tonight's segment of Business Weekly. We will be discussing the underemployment and unemployment crisis. My name is Brianne Bowles, and I will be your host tonight. In today's economy, many people are struggling to keep themselves in a good economic position. People everywhere are having difficulties paying their bills, mortgages, loans, and even cost of daily living. Unemployment and underemployment have been factors in driving in today's economy into a recession. In some ways, people will describe it worse than the Great Depression. Unemployment has taken jobs away from thousands, and underemployment has cut hours of many. This employment crisis is a result of many things, from globalization to crashing industries. But the good news is the American economy is coming back to pre-crisis size. This is due to several reasons, including increased funds, persistent workers, and creation of new jobs. The United States has been through 11 recessions since 1948. Each of these recessions are due to different reasons that can be related to the economic downfalls and how the government has handled them. The government has always been a factor in determining the severity of the recession. In the past, they have done multiple things to try and reduce the unemployment rate, such as stimulus spending, tax cuts, and rebate checks. The first recession was from 1947 to 1973, the longest in the United States. During this time, the economy was composed of robust spending, low energy prices, and heavy military and social spending. The next recession occurred from 1973 to 1982. This was due to stagflation. Stagflation occurs when the inflation rate is high and the economy's growth rate is slow, causing unemployment rates to rise. The following recession occurred in 1990. During this period, there was a significant amount of borrowing from the government and the private sectors. The 21st century began with the dot-com crash and the terrorist attacks of 9/11. This caused a sense of paranoia and panic, which in time caused a recession. But since then, Barack Obama has done multiple things. He had Congress pass a stimulus of $800 million to help boost the economy and lower the unemployment rate. Unfortunately, economic growth has come to a standstill with high energy prices and the stagflation of the housing market. Attempts to measure unemployment occurred in 1926. Prior to this, there was no true definition for underemployment. They decided that underemployment was viewed as a problem of reducing work hours. In 1954, a proposed definition for underemployment occurred. The group proposed that a person is underemployed if they work less than 35 hours per week and would like more hours. There are 5 different categories for an underemployment. The sub-unemployed category contains people who do not have a job and are not currently working for a job. They've either given up searching for a job or they just can't find one and don't continue to look for one. These people are not part of the workforce. The unemployed category contains people who do not have a job but are currently seeking for a job. And the unemployed by low hours category includes people who are underemployed by working less hours than they want. The underemployed by low hours category includes people who worked on less than 35 hours per week and would like to work more. Underemployed by low income category contains people whose earnings during the previous year did not reach the poverty threshold limit. And finally, the underemployed by occupational mismatch contains people who do not have a job that contains their educational experience. This chart shows a little bit about how the underemployment rate is for different educational standpoints. As you can see, the less education you have, the more likely you will be underemployed. global unemployment reached a record high of 7%. This is 200 million people being unemployed in the global workforce. Many believe this is the worst economic crisis since the Great Depression. Since the beginning of unemployment crisis in 2008, the unemployment rate has reached a high of 10.2% in October of 2009. Since then, the unemployment rate has slowly decreased. In September of 2012, the rate dropped to 7.8%. This September, approximately 114 million jobs were created within the healthcare, transportation, real estate, and financial service fields to help decrease the unemployment rate. Although the unemployment rate is dropping, the underemployment rate is rising. More people are entering into the workforce with the emergence of the new jobs. This means that workers' hours are most likely being cut to establish a new place for the new workers. Today's society, there is an estimated 1.42 million involuntary